Oh my gosh, apparently there's a MGTOW who has a challenge for the anti-MGTOW community. Oh no, I'm so scared. We're all gonna die. Anti-MGTOW can't come up with a logical argument.
Yeah, I think it's time to put this dumb myth that many MGTOW hold to rest. Watch this response video where I prove that anti-MGTOW can rise up to any challenge MGTOW can throw at us. Here's my response to your challenge, MGTOW.
Challenge accepted.
Good morrow, ladies and gents. It is I, the challenged Crusader, your favorite anti-MGTOW commentary channel, here with another video. Now, in today's video, I'll be responding to the Anti-MGTOW challenge, a video created by a MGTOW YouTuber known as gyno-cuck the Anti-MGTOW. In his video, he is asking for anti-MGTOW to make a compelling argument against MGTOW. There's a saying called "Be careful what you wish for," and I think Gyno will have a better understanding of the significance of this phrase by the end of this video. Don't worry, Gyno, if you want a challenge you will get. I always enjoy debating the MGTOW community. To me, it is an opportunity to improve my commentary and learn more about the other side. It is important for anti-MGTOW to accept these challenges because it gives us a free platform to share our ideas. As I stated in all my videos, I am only here to criticize MGTOW arguments and have a discussion. I do not wish any harm or vicious attacks upon other MGTOW. To keep this video short, I will be responding to clips and paraphrasing what he says. I also challenge anti-MGTOW and MGTOW to create and share their counter-arguments in the comments section below. Before I give my argument, let's first respond to the video that Gyno has created.
Hello and welcome to my video, the Anti-MGTOW challenge. The challenge is very simple: to present a compelling anti-MGTOW argument, ideally based on reality. Secondly, I have never heard, seen or read a compelling anti-MGTOW argument.
Alright, I will gladly give you a logical anti-MGTOW argument based on facts and reason. I will say that just because you ask for something, that doesn't mean you will get, depending on the situation. Now, my first question is, what do you define as a compelling argument? Is it an argument that will change your position, or a logical argument that calls into question your views? I do also question if you were able to even accept my argument, because already you say that you want an argument based on reality from anti-MGTOW, which to me seems to imply that you believe anti-MGTOWs are incapable of having a realistic argument, which is an untrue generalization. The reason why I think you believe this is because MGTOW tend to believe all people act a certain way, such as the "all women are like that" phrase I keep hearing, and you haven't even bothered to mention there are always exceptions in every group. Second, what do you define reality as? Are we talking about what MGTOW consider as reality, or just what is objectively true? A majority of my anti-MGTOW arguments are on the basis that MGTOW isn't reality, that MGTOW isn't real. Anyways, an argument I give you will be based off, again, facts and reason. What I hope is that you will be able to understand that. Now, as you all know, I am very critical when people are using their personal experiences in their arguments, because most of the time, they use their personal experience to make a fallacious or irrelevant claims in their arguments. Now, just because you haven't found any or many compelling pieces of anti-MGTOW arguments, doesn't mean you haven't heard a good one. Maybe the reason why you can't find a compelling argument from anti-MGTOW is because maybe you just can't accept what they have to say. As already at the start of this video, you say that there are no good arguments, and you haven't even bothered to explain why. Second, the other reason why you don't hear many good anti-MGTOW arguments is that there really isn't a lot of people who know or care about MGTOW. MGTOW is still a very new thing in the grand scheme of things. MGTOW is still a very new idea and concept, and it's still being discovered. Now, and because of that, this thus explains why it is so hard to find a compelling anti-MGTOW argument. Simply, there is just not enough people who are aware of what MGTOW is. MGTOW is already a small community, and the group of anti-MGTOWs is even smaller than that, way smaller.
MGTOW are just like feminists, and it's like, have you actually analysed it?
If someone is accurately comparing MGTOW to feminism, that demonstrates they have analyzed MGTOW because they are making comparisons which require some knowledge of MGTOW. Maybe this is why I'm told not to answer rhetorical questions. Then he tries to disprove how MGTOW is not like feminism because he claims that gynocentrism has apparently existed, unlike the patriarchy. Really? Okay. To me it seems like you are mixing the argument MGTOW is the opposite of feminism with MGTOW is like feminism. When people say MGTOW is like feminism, they are trying to break the illusion that MGTOW is this perfect idea, or they are trying to point out flaws that exist in the MGTOW community. This analogy is a creative and engaging way to make a point. Patriarchy has and does exist, depending on how you define it. Now, if we're talking about a group of people that oppress women as a patriarchy, then yes, that does exist today. The easiest example of a patriarchy existing is in Saudi Arabia. The government is literally ran by all males, and women have limited rights. For example, women must get permissions from their father to travel. It is stupid to deny the existence of patriarchy. It is absolutely stupid. Now, then you go on to say how gynocentrism has existed for thousands of years, and then you give chivalry as an example of how gynocentrism exists because apparently chivalry caters to women. Your terrible evidence just shows how weak this argument of a gynocentric society is. It's honestly just a stupid conspiracy theory. Chivalry is an altruistic idea of helping the weak. It does not call for putting the woman as the top priority in your life, but rather it is to help the poorest of the poor. A man following chivalry would help a poor man getting beat up first before helping a noblewoman who lost her ring or whatever. This is because the poor man is more in need than a woman. Chivalry is not even relevant today, as not all men are encouraged by society to do it. I would argue that the opposite. I would argue that society is pushing the opposite of this. With popular culture, there are songs about banging a bunch of women. Modern culture is promoting using women for sex. Now, it doesn't sound like a gynocentric society to me. Now, again, even if let's just say that, for example, let's just say chivalry is relevant. Even if it's relevant, again, going back to this definition, it doesn't really matter. Chivalry is about respecting and helping people who are the weakest. Now, if gynocentrism has existed for thousands of years, then why has it not been mentioned by historical experts in textbooks, for example? If you have no credible or reliable source, which you don't, that has endorsed this idea, it calls into question whether this said idea is even valid. At least the feminists, even the radical feminists can do better than you. At least they can actually prove something such as patriarchy. At least that they can prove it exists. The only thing you have proven is your lack of understanding for what chivalry is, and you not only make a weak argument, but you're twisting reality of what chivalry is to push your insane narrative. Okay, so you want a challenge, right? Well, I'm going to give you a challenge right now. I'm going to show and prove how MGTOW is like feminism. Now, both groups believe their gender are currently victims of a powerful, sexist force. MGTOW believe in gynocentrism, which basically is the idea that society is all catering to women, and radical feminists believe that there is a patriarchy in the West that is currently trying to oppress women. That is the radical feminist definition, that there is a patriarchy in the West. Now, the counter to both of these arguments is that men and women have rights and protections, and neither of these people has shown any reliable theory to prove that there is a gynocentric society that has even existed, or some sort of Western mythical patriarchy. Now, also, both groups have animosity towards the other gender. Some feminists are attacking a man's masculinity, such as certain famous razor commercials. And some MGTOW have made videos calling all women whores, sluts, whatever. And there's other hate comments towards women like, I hate my mother, or dumb stuff like that. Now, furthermore, both groups have people who are selfishly looking out for their interests of their own group. Some of the radical feminists are focusing only on women's rights and giving women as many privileges as possible, while failing to understand some of the struggles that men face. And MGTOW, some of the MGTOW, only care about what happens to their men, and they seem to even lack empathy for women, which is honestly just sad. A prime example of this is when I criticized Square Peg, a MGTOW YouTuber, for saying he only cares about his fellow brother men. And I can make endless connections, but I think you get the point here. Now, we're going to move on to what else he has to say. And he goes on to say that men and women cannot be equal. If a man can get beat up by white knights for slapping a woman, and that if it was a man who was getting slapped, no one would do anything, is kind of what I'm getting from what he was saying. And he thinks that if women are equal, then they should be able to take a slap. And apparently this is to prove that women are somehow not equal. Now, your vague example of a white knight defending a woman who gets slapped does not really prove anything. It just shows that there's good men who are willing to defend a woman from an attack and disrespect if you slap the woman for no reason. They could still argue that men and women are equal, and that the white knight was saying that he was defending a woman's right to be respected like a man. Not all guys who beat you up for slapping a woman are a white knight. Now, how someone treats others really depends on their character and values, and it's not fair to say that all people in society are always going to act a certain way. Just because there are two genders that are not treated the same does not deny their inherent equality. If I applied your bad logic, then I could say that blacks are not equal to whites because black people were once enslaved. So because they were treated differently, therefore they are not equal. I mean, that just is so illogical and dumb.
If you think I'm wrong, test it yourself. I invite you to test it. Let's see if your views hold up to reality or not.
Fucking what? Yeah, I don't think it's a really smart idea to be advocating for violence on YouTube. My advice to you, my fellow viewers, is to not follow Gyno's advice, because you shouldn't be a jerk to people to prove a dumb argument. I don't even need to do a real-life demonstration to prove my point, because I use something that some MGTOW seem to lack. It's called, wait for it, logic. Whoa. I mean, who knew that existed? Now, I'm not saying Gyno lacks logic. In fact, he probably is more realistic than many other MGTOW, but he does have a lot of weak points. Moving on to his next point, he is confused why people agree there's a feminized society, but they don't believe in a gynocentric society. Now, it's okay to believe in a feminized society and not believe in a gynocentric society. I think a lot of people disagree with the existence of gynocentrism and support the idea of a feminized society because they have a different definition of what a feminized society is. To me, a feminized society is a society that supports feminism, and I define feminism as pushing towards the equal rights of women in a legal sense. In the future, if you ask someone a question like this, define what gynocentrism and define what a feminized society are. Not everyone holds the same definitions as you, and to assume everyone does is just unrealistic. Now, you then go on to claim that women have more rights than men. Really? Really? Name one right that a woman has that a man does not. You could argue that there may be some bias towards men by some judges, but I don't see any legal right that a woman has that a man does not in countries like the US, for example. Such a thing is illegal, and there would probably be a lawsuit if a certain group had more rights than another. It just doesn't make any sense.
A MGTOW are just writing down what reality are and then telling other people, because no one seems to be seeing it for some unknown reason. The reason I crudely come to is they're all fucking gyno-cucks. They're just like, nah, women are perfect, women are good, women do no evil.
MGTOW are writing reality? What the fuck? How does that work? You better explain this to me. I'm confused now. And honestly, the only thing I'm not seeing is actual proof that any of the stuff you were saying is even true. Earlier you claim women have more rights than men, yet you don't even bother to name at least one example. Now, what's amazing, this is just a wow here. Shaming language, really. I mean, that's not very MGTOW. Here, MGTOW are, angry at women for using shaming language, but then you call people cucks just because they disagree with your version of reality, and somehow that automatically means that they think women are perfect. Oh, God forbid someone has a different opinion than you. Oh my gosh, the MGTOW, the anti-MGTOW can't accept reality. Oh, boo-hoo! I mean, come on. I'm just dying here. What the heck? Come on, just stop. Stop. Just stop jumping to conclusions, please, and stop with the shaming language. That's so femme.
Single mothers are cancer on society, but everyone's like, oh, she's trying to raise a kid by herself. She chose that. She chose to screw her kid over.
Okay, this argument is so fucked up on so many levels. How are single mothers a cancer to society? Have you ever tried to raise a kid by yourself? And honestly, I don't think any woman's just being a single mother because they want to be. And I honestly, from my personal experience, and I know I don't like to use personal experience, but this personal experience does disprove your point that all single mothers are cancer, because again, this proves how there are exceptions. And some of the bravest and kindest people that I have ever known are single mothers, and they're trying to give their kids the best future they can. Yes, maybe there are some single mothers out there in society, but let's not stereotype groups. I think MGTOW seem to be needing a reality check from this nonsense, especially when you don't even bother to prove this point. The hypocrisy is real. Here, you want Anti-MGTOW to give you statistics, yet I have not seen you bring up one statistic to prove any of your points in this video. Now, single mothers do not always choose to be single. Have you ever considered that maybe there are reasons why some mothers choose to be single? Maybe it's because they want to escape an abusive husband to protect the kids. And in some cases, it's not even her fault. There are men who leave their wives to run away and sleep with other women. I guess it's the woman's fault, she's evil. Or, what about a mom who becomes a single mother after her husband dies? Yeah, it's her fault. It's her fault for being a single mother. There's actually one story where there's a single mother who had 8 children, and she desperately tried to perform CPR to save her husband. I guess she's a cancer to society too. She's a failure who should have tried harder to save her husband. What a despicable and disgusting human being for trying to save someone she loves. Or what about women who becomes a single mother when her husband dies in combat? I guess she's a piece of shit and a piece of cancer too. Because if she didn't let her husband serve his country, he could be alive right now. Just one evil and despicable person. In fact, I want to go a step further. I think we should lock up all these evil single mothers. Put them in jail where they belong. I'm just sorry, but I'm at a loss for words for your lack of empathy for single mothers.
Now, I'm forever the optimist, and I hope I get destroyed, and I'll get absolutely destroyed, and then I'll have to become an anti-MGTOW.
Well, I think with all the logic bombs I dropped on you, I would say your bullshit has been thoroughly debunked. It should be obvious to everyone that I gave you a compelling anti-MGTOW counter-argument to this video. But don't worry about having to become an anti-MGTOW. The good news for you is we don't expect you to join us, even if we are right. Unlike MGTOW, we don't expect people to join us if we win an argument. We respect your right to choose to accept reality or not. Well, that was a nice video. But now, let's give you a compelling anti-MGTOW argument that you asked for. First of all, for an argument to be strong, you don't always need to use statistics. Sometimes arguments are so bad, like MGTOW, that you just have to prove that you can just prove how illogical they are. I don't need to use stats to show why 1 + 1 doesn't equal 3. And I certainly don't need to use stats to prove why circular logic isn't logical. Here is one of the many good anti-MGTOW arguments that I will use. The reason why MGTOW sucks is because it is not even realistic, because many of the times it fails to logically prove its points, and furthermore, MGTOW is self-destructive towards men. My first point is many MGTOW make claims that are not true based on weak logic. Many MGTOW believe that women will most likely divorce you because most women initiate divorces, and there's a statistic that says 70% of women initiate divorce. Or I could argue that most men are rapists because most women are raped by men. Do you see the problem here? MGTOW are jumping to conclusions and not taking other factors into account. To further support my argument that MGTOW consistently fail to deliver good evidence to support their claims, you are the prime example. You failed to prove gynocentrism by twisting the definition of chivalry, which further illustrates the lack of logic found in the MGTOW community. Now, when I watch some MGTOW videos, some people use Wikipedia as a citation for hypergamy, which calls into question the validity of their sources. MGTOW have yet to prove hypergamy because they have no reliable sources that prove it. And they don't even have a scientist who endorses the idea that women in general have a biological tendency to always choose the man with the most resources above all other factors like personality, empathy, and etc. If not even scientists support your ideas, it really calls into question the legitimacy of your group. MGTOW themselves aren't reliable sources for life advice because they lack credibility themselves. Many MGTOW encourage, or they don't speak out against, the men who support MGTOW monkism. For those who don't know what MGTOW monkism is, it's the idea that men should not have relationships with women of any kind. And more extreme versions believe that MGTOW men should not have any interaction with women, or they should limit interaction with women as much as possible. Now, not only is this sexist, but it's completely irrational, and it ruins a man's chance at finding a happy relationship. Some of the MGTOW monks and other MGTOW who are not monks argue that women are trying to steal your money. I mean, this sounds like Hitler's Germany. Don't talk to the Jews. They're out to steal our money. Ooh. I mean, you can't prove that most women will steal your money. Some MGTOW don't even take into account a person's character and social values in a society. A person's character and the values in a society really do affect chances of someone stealing your stuff. Now, men cannot have a fulfilling life if they are plagued by prejudice such as this. Prejudice is something that is irrational and colors our view of reality, and being unrealistic and stereotypical can we form hateful views towards others. If we start to hate certain groups of people, then they will treat us poorly, and if they treat us poorly, we will feel worse, and then we will treat them worse, and in response, and the cynical cycle continues. MGTOW is also hurtful to men because it has a lot of toxicity in the community. There are videos calling women sluts, whores, and etc. And these MGTOW videos get a lot of thumbs up. So clearly a significant amount of people in the MGTOW community support this. And many MGTOW use shaming language, such as calling people cucks, simps, and etc. for not agreeing with their points. Just look at the channel comments or other anti-MGTOW channels like Forbidden, and take a look at the MGTOW comments they get on their channels. There's hate, toxicity, shaming language. It's obvious that toxicity exists in the MGTOW community, and I have yet to see a video made by MGTOW that addresses this important issue. MGTOW also do not condemn those who decide to ghost, or guys who isolate themselves from society. The problem with this is, from a scientific perspective, scientifically speaking, isolation deprives us of our human need for connection. And isolation can lead to anxiety, and it hinders our ability to deal with stuff. Instead of leaving society, men should join a community of empathetic people who can help them succeed. Humanity grows when we work together. Thanks for helping men, MGTOW. So in conclusion, men shouldn't join MGTOW, because MGTOW is a group that is toxic and a group that does not actually serve the best interests of men. Anyways, these are some of my anti-MGTOW arguments, and I can list 1,000 reasons why MGTOW ideas are just so bad. But this should give my fellow viewers and gyno-cuck something to think about. I know you're going to disagree with this, and you're probably going to say, you don't understand MGTOW, or that's not the real definition of whatever. Don't give me the no true Scotsman fallacy nonsense. Instead, prove how my points are wrong, or give solid evidence to prove MGTOW is correct. To be honest, if anyone should be challenged, it's MGTOW. Now that I've completed your challenge, here's my challenge for you, gyno-cuck. Give me a compelling argument of why I should be a MGTOW by disproving my anti-MGTOW argument I just gave you. To make a compelling argument, you have to have an argument that uses sufficient evidence and good, solid logic to prove your points. Now, as we can see, this video proves why anti-MGTOW is the truth. Unlike the fake news MGTOW media, we use sufficient evidence and condemn things that are harmful towards the well-being of men. It is obvious that the points made by gyno-cuck seem to come from a bitter and biased attitude towards women, which could explain why we see a lot of logical fallacies such as his overgeneralizations of single mothers. I don't hate gyno-cuck. What I do hate is the fallacy that clearly embodies the MGTOW movement and many of his arguments. If you like this video, give it a like and share the truth with everyone you know. In the comments section below, leave a comment telling me if you think I won the gyno-cuck challenge. Remember to support this channel by subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you receive updates on my latest videos. You can also follow me on Twitter at Crimson Crusader. Crusader, except with an O, Crusader. I hope you enjoyed this video. My final message to MGTOW is, it is time to stop believing in this nonsense. Stop it, and get some help. Fare thee well.